And gentlemen, welcome back to Rise and Shine. As I mentioned earlier, we'll be having a conversation looking at US visa applications, right? Of course, we will touch on some other visa applications, some other territories as well. But with us this morning, we have with us a consultant. Jodi Melville is with us live on Rise and Shine this morning. How are you doing?
I am good. How are you?
I'm fine. So I could apply for a visa right now on spot?
Yeah, if you want to, yeah.
People tend to think that consultants, you could go to a consultant to get more than just consultation. You could probably get through with your visa.
I like you.
You have that link?
No, I don't.
All right, but you have the information.
I do.
Thank you for being with us this morning to discuss this.
For having me.
Yeah, I think a number of us would apply for visa from time to time. Some may get 5 years, some may get 6 months, some may get 10 years, and so on. What is the latest in terms of the application process? Can anyone apply for a US visa as it stands?
Of course, anyone can apply for a visa, but it's solely up to the visa counselor to choose how many years they would give you and by months. And when you say 6 months and 10 years, according to what you're applying for, they give it to you to the duration of your time. So if you're traveling with a group to do entertainment, sometimes they just give you the visa for the duration of the time. Mm-hmm. But if it is that you're traveling for vacation, then you would see a lot of 10 years issuing for that reason.
Okay, and as you mentioned that, what are some of the categories that Trinbagonians would apply for in terms of US visas?
A lot of persons apply for the B1, B2 visa. That is the business or personal visa. All right, so most persons would definitely apply for that to visit family, friends, and sometimes to go on conventions or conferences. Yeah.
Okay, and so just to get it clear, so if we're just traveling for leisure and as you say, just vacation and so on, that is the B.
The B1, B2, that's business or personal visa.
Okay.
Yeah.
And business, we talking work permit or that's something
No,
different?
that's something different.
Okay.
So as conference or conventions, those things can be as business. Sometimes persons would also have, like the job would send them to do like a short training.
Right.
That could be a business.
Oh, okay,
yeah?
okay.
So they do have different categories of visas. Like for instance, the F1 visa, the J1 visas. The J1 is for spousal. The F1 is for student visa. So they are lettered category visas.
Okay.
All right? And also, when you're applying for those visas, you have to unlock your Facebook because they are now vetting you on Facebook and Instagram.
That was announced recently, right?
Yes, it was. It was announced recently.
So what, they obviously looking at your profile?
Correct. They are. They look at everything.
But anyway, I will get back to that point, right?
Yes, no
I will
problem.
get back to that point because that was recently announced.
Yes, it was.
And persons were... I had a conversation with my mom and she was like, yeah, you make sure you clean up your thing. I say, Mommy, but I'm safe.
You have to be careful on Facebook.
Yeah, but we'll get back to that. In terms of how long can someone now, or what is the wait time between applying and getting the interview?
All right, so you could get an interview as soon as next week, the 3rd of September.
Serious?
Yeah. They are no longer having a backlog. After 2022, after COVID has, passed on, they are no longer having backlog. So if you apply today, you'll get an appointment for the 3rd of September, the 4th or the 5th. Yeah? So there isn't any backlogs, there isn't any problems to have any interviews for the U.S. Embassy.
So you can go on to what particular website?
www.usvisa-info.com.
And you select your preferred day and time? Or?
So when it is that you're completed with the application process, because it's 2 stages, the application process, and then you now have to create an account to pay your fees, whether it be credit card or at Scotiabank. So you must complete the application first before you go on to the fees. When you completed that, you pay your fees with a credit card and then you have the opportunity to make your appointment date.
For example, the vacation visa, right, which is the
B1, B2.
On average, what type of figure are we looking at?
$1,258 TT dollars.
1,258
which is 185 US dollars.
Okay. And what sort of documentation you would need to have prepared to support your application form?
So what I can say starting off is your truth. right? A lot of persons think that their job letter and their bank statement would give them a visa. It's not like that. Yes, you can work with these supported documents, but they definitely want to know what is your purpose of your visit, how long you're staying in their country, and who you're visiting in the country. Yeah? So your purpose is important. So persons would go and say, my purpose is just vacation. Mind you, you're going on an interview and you're convincing these people, listen, I'm just going to visit a family member for the summer vacation and I'll be spending 2 weeks and I'll be coming back to my country. So when you answer your question this bland, they get confused sometimes because anybody can go on a vacation. You understand me? But you must go in depth with your interview so that they can understand and make a determination from that if they're going to give you the visa or not.
I remember going to the embassy and I don't know, it was just a tense period, firstly in the line. They had to go early. When you had to go physically, well, you still have to go physically for the interview.
Correct.
But then you're sitting in the room and people literally are there and the tense, everybody tense. And I don't know if it was because persons were getting, in local parlance, blank often. What are the numbers or the statistics looking like nowadays? Are persons getting through more? Because I mean, if we're looking at the geopolitics as well, is that having an impact on our situation as Trinbagonians?
You know, I can't really say that from on my end as a person that do consultation. But what I can say, a lot of persons who tried would have been successful once you tell them the truth.
Once you tell them the truth.
Once you tell them the truth.
All right. And in terms of, speaking of truth, and just for clarity, 1,258 TT, you said, right?
Correct.
And this is for the B1.
That's for the B1, B2 visas.
That's
basically all the visas.
That is an increased figure? That is,
yes, it is. It has been increased on June 17th, 2023.
Oh, okay. If someone wants to expedite their process for medical reasons or an emergency, they really need to go out there. Is there a particular approach that you are recommending persons to do?
Yes, they are. So once you're going for a medical treatment, it's obviously that you would have a letter from the institution that you would be visiting in the United States. And yes, sometimes there are some dated times for persons to enter the United States. So what you can do is when you apply and you reach the part where you have to pay, they're asking you if you need it to be expedited. So you would send them an email, or you can communicate with them through the account stating, this is what I have to attend to, this is what I have to go for, and I need to be there at this time. So they would review it and they would approve it, right? If a family member passed on in the United States, whether it be mother, immediate family only, mother, father, sister, brother, not grandmother, not cousin, not your best friend, immediate family.
Not granny?
Not granny either.
But immediate?
Immediate family, mother, father, sister, brother. What you can do is get the death certificate, scan and upload it through an email, and then they would make the decisions as to what time you can get, what date you can get for your interview.
And naturally, son and daughter as well, right? If it's a parent.
If it's a parent, yeah, mother or father. So son or daughter, mother, father, sister, brother, cousin. Not cousin, sorry.
Yeah. If we dealing with student visas now, a number of persons are going abroad to pursue their studies and so on. Is it that the institution that you're applying for, as in the school, they get involved in that process? How
they do.
Students
so what this school would do, they would send you a certain amount of documentation to complete before a certain time. Because obviously some persons start school in August and late September, right? So what they will do, they would give you a stipulated time to complete these documents and then apply for your CVIS. The CVIS is basically to assist you going forward with the student process. All right. So when it is that is completed, because that is a separate fees. Yeah. And then mind you, you have to stay in the country up until the time the CVIS is valid. Well, if it's 2 years, you have to come back home, reapply, and go back again. Because once that CVIS is up, because they give, I think the first year they give you, you must show financial statement for the first year that you can afford your schooling.
Right.
And then after, then you make a decision what you want to do forward. So all these documents like the F1, your student visa, all these documents, the CVIS must be completed before you start. So like we say, for instance, it should be about 5 months before your time, before school starts.
Okay. And if you complete your degree or whatever you're doing at this school, and you so happen to get a job, and you decide that you're, mommy, daddy, are you looking to stay up here, you know? How does that work? The transition from student visa
Sometimes
to
the
regular?
schools would have guidance counselors to guide you along those process, but that is more of an immigration process. And then once you have to work in the US, you must be accepted by a job.
Okay.
And that job has to show proof that you are somewhat special to them, that they need your.
And that's where we head into the work permit situation.
Correct.
And just briefly, in terms of applying for a work permit, that process is done locally, or that is based on what you're saying there?
First, it's done
the
internationally
employer.
because the employer has to do their part, and then your part is just to apply for the work permit. So there are two types of work permit. There's the H-1B and there's the H-2B. The H-2B is more for agriculture. So like sometimes you might do farming, stuff like that. So that's the H-2B visa. But the H-1B visa, it's for generalized like nurses, lawyers, whatever you choose to do to go out there, you have to apply with an H-1B visa.
Entertainers as well?
Entertainment is that's a P1 visa.
P1?
Yeah, that's a performing visa.
Okay.
That's a different type of visa. That's for artists and stuff like that.
But is it generally the same process?
Most of it is generally the same process. You would definitely need the invitation letter from the person that is inviting you out there to perform. And actually that would also be a P1, and I think you'll have to also apply for a work because they would be paying you. Yeah? So that is definitely under the P1 bracket, which is a performer visa.
Okay. Very much clear thus far. Ladies and gentlemen, we're speaking with Jodi Melville, a U.S. visa application consultant. As a matter of fact, a visa application consultant, you can say?
Yes, so generalizing everything, yes.
And before I shift back to that Facebook situation, in terms of the security concerns that the U.S. so recently, and I'm not trying to get too political, but recently the U.S. would have listed or named Trinidad and Tobago when they were describing the crime situation in Washington. And of course, as recent as yesterday, Trinidad's name were called in a U.S. coalition or something to that, which is more on the positive side, depending on how you're looking at it.
Okay.
But how does the U.S. or the immigration look at security concerns and our situation in Trinidad and Tobago? Does that have any impact at all in an ordinary folk genuine application?
You know what? It doesn't affect us as much, but a lot of these bonds that they've been shooting at us has been very questionable. So that part with the security, that's under the Homeland Security purposes, right? But it does not affect a normal visitor visa. That's more for persons who are going to overstay their time, who are doing crime and stuff like that. But it does not affect the regular visa process. It doesn't affect the persons who are applying for a visa. But what I can tell you is what the U.S. Homeland Security do is watch your travel patterns on a B1, B2 visa. A B1, B2 visa is to visit for 2 weeks and a month. Sometimes you see persons go 3 months, 5 months every time they travel. Once they see that pattern, you know that they would pull you out of a line and question you randomly. So this security...
I'm playing the cool room. It's a cool room.
Like you know that room. Right, so yes, so they watch your patterns on a visitor visa. So unlike that Homeland Security purpose, what they would have said about Trinidad and Tobago, it does not affect persons visiting the United States from Tobago.
Okay.
To the United States. Yeah.
All right, and coming back now to the Facebook situation. So the recent announcement, you have to have your profile opened.
Correct.
Right, as in anyone can go onto your profile without having to request.
Correct.
Just clarify exactly what should one do if you have, is it just Facebook and also
I don't think you could lock your Instagram. And
well, you can have
WhatsApp,
a private account.
Well, it's encrypted. Your WhatsApp is encrypted.
Yeah.
But Facebook, you remember, Facebook is your personal.
Right.
A lot of persons share photos, so they want to see who you are. Even if you're not real on that point of Facebook, like you're not being yourself, they still want to, yes, there is still something on Facebook that would show them who you are as a person. So that's why I try to explain to persons, try your best and not be too confusion is on Facebook, talking about Trump, talking about bad things about the United States. Be careful when you put stuff on Facebook. If you want to share a little, vacation somewhere, you're showing a photo about families and stuff like that, fine. But do not discriminate anything about the United States because they would come for you. Yeah, they would.
Well, be very careful, eh? Be very careful. I mean, as you mentioned earlier on, when you're applying, you have to start off with truth. And your Facebook naturally is a reflection of you. But some people might just be involved in all kind of bacchanal, But if you know that you want to apply, I think you should clean up.
Correct.
Yeah, you should clean up if it's not too late. But I just want to shift now to those who... So I saw, which Caribbean country was it? There's a Caribbean country recently announced that they either intend or they are implementing a measure that would now expect Trinidad and Tobago citizens to apply for a visa to enter into the territory. I can't
I'm not aware
remember
of that.
which country it is. But nevertheless, shifting to the UK. The UK would have announced some visa restrictions and so on. And from based on what we're calculating, the figures are so expensive that persons are not even bothering to apply. What is happening with that UK visa application situation as it relates to
So I
Trinidad?
realized since they would have implemented this UK visa, the foot count has dropped drastically. Because mind you, even if you have a ticket that you would have bought since last year and your expectations would have to travel this year and you apply for the visa, once your finances is not up to point, you can get refused. And they're asking you a lot of questions. They're asking you if you own the property that you lived on. They're asking you how much you're making in pounds. They're not asking you for it in TTS, correct? GBP. They're asking you how long you're working, where you're working, family member invitation if they're permanent resident in the UK, and stuff like that. And then after that now, when you don't pay your 178 US, you have to pay for your biometrics, which is 106 US. So that's like 200 and how much? 258 US dollars for a 6-month visa.
And it doesn't...
And it doesn't guarantee you that you would get a visa.
Wow. So
Once they make the decision.
That's just to apply.
Correct.
And as we're speaking that, even with the US visa application, you pay 1,258 TT for the visitor visa, but you could fail the interview.
It's like you're paying a playway, It's like you're doing a lot.
It's a chance.
Yeah, it's just a chance.
Wow. But very important information this morning. Looking at the Canadian situation, I understand that once you are in possession of a US visa, you just need to apply for the ETA.
Correct.
Which is an online...
It's an electronic travel authorization, but you can only fly. You cannot drive over to New York. You can't drive nowhere. You can only fly because it's electronic. It goes by the passport number and it goes through your duration of your passport. So if you have a year on your passport, it's valid for that. Just like the Canadian visa, it goes to the duration of your passport. If you have your 10 years, you'll get your full 10 years. If you have 5 years, you'll get 5 years.
Oh, okay.
So it goes to the duration of your passport. But a lot of persons don't really apply for Canada. I don't know why. I wish they could.
I would have make a comment, but I would reserve my comment. The inner me is saying, Jumaane, do not make this particular comment. But just before we close, in terms of duration, you mentioned duration. If someone's visa is close to expiring,
right.
Is there anything that they could do in advance before the expiry date to ensure that things work out? All
right, so a lot of persons ask me, hey Jodi, my US visa is up in December. Can I apply for it before? Yes, you can. A year before, some months before, you can. You can even travel on your visa. Like say, for instance, your visa is up on the 21st of November. You can travel on the 1st of November and come back on the 15th of November. Once you are back in your country before it's expired, that's for the US. But because the Canadian goes to the duration of your passport, you can only travel 3 months before or a month before the time it's expired. Because remember, your passport will be expiring at the same time. And because immigration gives us a 6-month period, your passport must be more than 6 months valid. Sometimes, it's just safer to just do things before it's expired.
Yeah.
That kind of way?
Yeah, and if you apply, so let's just say we're in August right now, and they're expiring in December. what is the guarantee in terms of the interview? Is it that you...
That's for which one?
For US visa I'm speaking about.
All right, so if you're applying in August, you said?
Yeah.
You would get an appointment in September.
Okay.
Yeah?
All right.
Yeah.
That's good news.
Yeah, and if it is that you are in possession with a visa that is expired in 2015, right, up to 2016, you are qualified for the waiver program, meaning once it's a 10-year visa, it has certain rules behind it. You are qualified for a waiver. Waiver meaning that you do not have to go down for an interview. So after September 2nd, once you're below the age of 14, above the age of 79, before you didn't have to go for an interview.
Right.
But now you would have to go for an interview. All right? So once you had a 10-year visa and it was expired in 2024, 2025, you are qualified for the waiver program where you do the application. The system would prompt you with some questions, and then you are qualified to mail it in. Okay. But that is not for everybody. It's for certain persons, certain holders with their 10-year visa.
I understand that during the pandemic, so visas would have expired during the pandemic, and there was also a waiver where you...
That is the same waiver, but they would have kind of tweaked it a little bit.
Okay.
So after September 2nd, persons who are below the age of 14 and above the age of 79 would now have to go on an interview.
Is it different between the persons going to the US as opposed to in transit? So you're passing through the US, or even if you're going on a cruise or so on, is there a different type of visa you apply for? Yes, there's a transit
visa, but you still have to pay your $1,250.
So $1,258
for a transit visa. Yeah.
All right, but is it recommended? Because I mean, if you're paying the same figure, you might.
What I try to advise persons to do is just apply for the visa, because the transit visa is, I don't want to say it don't make any sense, but there would be another time that you would want to travel again. So it's just safer to apply for the visa, because the transit visa is just for the time. Sometimes they give you a 10-year transit, but it's just a transit. Right. You cannot go into the country. You can only pass through the airport, go to China, go to wherever. That is it. But once you apply for the visa and you decide, well, hey, after this trip, I think I want to go over to the United States. Yes.
Okay.
But you cannot go over to the United States with a transit visa.
Okay. Two more questions for you. Jodi Melville, of course, a consultant with regards to visa applications. Family, go in and apply as a family as opposed to going as an individual. Is there any difference there? Is there any perks when you go as a family? Because, I mean, a number of families will gather together and gather their frills and say, hey, we are applying this time around because we want to travel as a family.
Understand. There is no difference. And people really think that when you do that, it gives you a stronger...
case.
Everybody is an individual when you go for a visa.
Even if you're young, like...
Correct. You are an individual. So when the counselor questions you, you have to answer your questions. So you could go with a group, you could go with a family. You are an individual to a visa counselor. And they would still make their decision from that. So building that would not give you any strength to get a visa or not. Okay.
When sitting at the interview desk, can you offer any type of advice? I know you spoke about telling your truth, but some persons just may be nervous for varying reasons. Any advice you would
What
offer?
I try to explain to people, you're not going in front of Jesus Christ and talk about your sins. You're going to tell your truth. So what is your purpose? What is your purpose? You're going to visit a family member. It's our anniversary and she keeps it every year. So she invited us since last year and we're deciding to visit her now to have the experience and also do some sightseeing. As I said in the earlier part of our conversation, it's more of convincing them to let them know, like, listen, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this and I'm going to come back.
Okay.
All right? So your purpose is very important, not just blandly vacation. Yeah? Where you're working, how much you're making, those are the questions they ask you. Where are you working? I'm working at the Division of Health. My duties are secretary to, what I do, and all these things.
Okay.
Having a conversation.
Right.
But during that, you're telling your truth.
Yeah.
How much are you making? Well, you told me that you're making $10,000. So that is what I'm putting there. So your job letter should reflect your $10,000. Yeah? Your bank statement or your credit union statement. It's obviously when you're traveling, you need money. So you need money to buy your ticket. Even though you're having accommodation, for free, you still have to show money that you could buy your ticket and you can also travel, spend, whatever. But a lot of persons love the hearsay. Well, I went and I didn't go with no money and they give me a visa. Everybody is different. Every situation is different. Every case is different.
Right.
So I want persons to always reflect that they are their own individual. The application is your application. So you have to now not only prove self, but convince you, that you're going to be coming back to your country.
Okay, and the bonus question I have for you this morning. Why persons will say visa?
I don't know. I go, oh my God.
I try my best to figure it out. V-I-S-A and is visa.
Tell me, listen, and every time I have to correct them, no, it's not visa, it's a visa.
But I want to thank you very much for being with us this morning.
You're welcome.
Sharing all the information, and of course, if persons want more information, they can visit what particular site.
So I don't have a website. I more like to deal with persons face to face.
Okay.
So you can also contact me.
Feel free to share your contact.
All right. So my contact is 702-1208. And when you call me, then we have a conversation, and I will sit with you and we will talk.
All right.
Yeah?
I want to thank you very much. Jodi
You're
Melville
welcome.
there, sharing all the information about a visa application, not visa application. But we want to thank you very much. And each and every one of you who would have been part of the conversation.